Hello everybody, Fast Hippie here. We are in the top 4 of the Argent Arena between Moon Knight and Linne. This is game 1 of their loser bracket matchup. The loser is out and the winner will go on to the top 2, I guess. They'll actually play the loser of the winner's bracket in type 4, and then the winner of that match will go to the very finals. Start out, Moon Knight plays switch drive here. I think Moon Knight was hoping to catch Linne by surprise here with a fast attack. And Linne does play Geomantic Shot, but because she played Geomantic, she can actually ante her Earth token, which she does, and not get stunned this beat. So I think this was kind of a surprise move. Maybe Moon Knight was expecting to clash here, or had some other plan here. But as it worked out, it didn't work out super great in his favor, because with Geomantic, Linne is able to respond and get that Earth token and trade ahead here fairly well. So now we are moving into beat 2. And Magdelina typically wants to play sort of a defensive game to get into that later game. The later game is when Magdelina can really take off. And so for that reason, Moon Knight kind of wants to play moves to stretch the game out, either using Magdelina's kind of healing type moves or using her dodges and such. And so Moon Knight actually plays Excelsius Dodge here in order to avoid his opponent and stretch the game out. So Moon Knight plays Anti's priority here, and I think this was actually the idea was to get his opponent to commit to anteing and maybe get that force advantage. But as it turns out, this actually ends really badly for Moon Knight, because advancing allows Hikaru to start a beat, get into the corner, so that Moon Knight can't actually dodge him. And even if he were to dodge the full retreat, full 3 away, because Linne anteed the additional range, between the drive and the additional range, she can catch him. So this was actually a fantastic call by Linne, sensing the dodge coming and sensing where the board positioning was. Advancing drive ended up being just the hard counter there, and it was a very surprising move. I thought Moon Knight was 100% safe there, but advancing drive ended up being the perfect counter. So Moon Knight does get to level 1 here, but very quickly Moon Knight is behind on life 11 to 20, moving into beat 3. So, sensing that he's kind of under pressure, Moon Knight plays Safety Blessing here. This is a pretty solid attack, especially given he's at level 1. If he connects, he'll be able to reduce the damage so he doesn't get stunned, and then immediately gain the Trance token so that he can immediately go to level 2. But as it turns out, his opponent plays Trance Dodge and actually clashes here. And then they go through a chain of clashes here. We go through Safety Burst, and then Safety Grass, which ends up being the counter to Transform Strike. Then we go Safety Strike, and they both play Strike. And oh, there we go. Yeah, so we finally broke the clash chain. So, although Hikaru is only hitting for 2 here, given how much damage Magdelina has already taken, it's actually pretty scary for Moon Knight. And he really needed to either dodge or play a safe B, and it just worked out that the chain ended in a 2-2 trade, which, given the life gap, is actually really scary for Moon Knight. So now we are moving into beat 4. And Moon Knight uses the advanced one of safety. I was a little surprised here. I thought he could have advanced further away, but given his opponent's options, perhaps he wanted to stay closer. I trust Moon Knight knows what the heck he's doing, so you know. Moon Knight goes with Priestess Drive here. This is a pretty safe move if he can outspeed his opponent. But as it turns out, his opponent actually plays Geomantic Palm Strike, which outspeeds Drive. And, you know, his opponent had Grass Bound, which is why I think Moon Knight was thinking Priestess Drive would outspeed all of his options. But Palm Strike ends up being faster, and because Priestess Drive doesn't have a lot of Stun Guard, even at level 1 here, Moon Knight is going to lose his beat really hard and take 6. And so now we're moving into beat 5, and Moon Knight is in a heap of trouble. Magdelina is leveling up to level 2 here, but it's a 3 to 18 life gap for Linne. So Linne just has to basically connect one more time, and she could probably win this game. So this is going to be a number of beats of Moon Knight trying to duck and dodge and get those advantages and get to the higher level where she could just straight win beats, but it's going to be very scary. Moon Knight plays Excelsior's Blessing here. The idea is that to gain that 3 life will hopefully put her in a safer position, and Excelsius would allow her to push Linne away, and that combination should give Moon Knight the cushion he needs to stay within this game. But Linne has none of that and is counter-anteing speed on his token, and in fact plays Sweeping here. And this is a super interesting beat because Sweeping Burst made for a burst, which is safe against a lot of the close moves that are fast, but Sweeping gave it additional speed. So the idea here was just to straight outspeed your opponent and have the burst at the same time to deal the damage. So it was a really awesome move, and something I didn't expect to see at all. But yeah, I think Sweeping was really good here when your opponent is so close to death. As it turns out, they clash, and Moon Knight clashes into Dodge. Now, Dodge is really good for Magdelina, but now that Dodge is down, Moon Knight is in much more precarious position, especially considering that Hikaru has central board position and has nearly full board coverage. So, Moon Knight is going to continue to try to push a fast blessing here. Again, trying to get that blessing to get that additional 3 life, and at this point he'd also gain the trance counter, which would get him to level 3. His opponent, since he has central board position, goes for Drive here, and they actually end up clashing. And so they clash into Burst, and this is super awesome because although they both burst here, because Moon Knight did switch and has level 2, he actually just has a faster burst here. He's hitting, it's a 5 damage burst at 3 speed, and given this burst to burst matchup, he's actually able to just straight stun Linne here and continue the game on. So Moon Knight is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. If Linne is able to deliver the blow even once here, Moon Knight's probably gonna die. So this is just a really close game, and I was really impressed that Moon Knight even was able to stay in it as long as he does here. So we'll be moving on to beat 7, and Moon Knight plays Priestess Drive. The idea is to outspeed their opponent and get the on-hit effect to basically reduce their damage to a minimal level, so that he'll be able to survive one more beat. We'll see where this goes. They both ante for power here, and Moon Knight actually antes for speed. So he's playing a speed 7 attack. Linne responds with a ton of stun guard, I think the hope here is that for Linne is that he's going to take the blow and deal the damage back. But because Moon Knight actually played Priestess, that high speed is going to allow Moon Knight to reduce the damage that Linne does and survive one more beat. Now, if Linne would have antied speed instead, he could have outsped Moon Knight and actually won here. So it was actually a pretty difficult call. And in fact, Moon Knight decides to just completely avoid the attack by advancing 2 instead of advancing 1. This is a great use of positioning, where instead of trading, Moon Knight realizes it's more beneficial just to dodge their opponent completely. And because he did that, instead of trading, I guess it would have been like 4 for 1, he ends up trading 0 for 0. Now, considering he would have -2 power and gained a life, I guess it would have been a 0 life change for Moon Knight, but I think the positioning, he wanted the positioning further away and was able to get it. So now we're moving into beat 8, and Moon Knight plays Excelsius Blessing here. Again, Excelsius Blessing ends up being a fantastic catch-up move because Magdelina is able to shove their opponent away and gain life. And that combination will probably allow her to stay safe, even against a move such as Shot, because he would be able to move one away and then shove his opponent away. But as it turns out, Linne plays Trance Dodge here and avoids, and it ends up being a deadbeat. So now we're moving to beat 9, and this is ridiculous. Moon Knight has stayed alive since, I want to say, beat 4 when he was at 3. So he stayed alive for 6 additional beats, which is just incredible play. And so we'll see where it's going. So Moon Knight plays his finisher here. So you have to remember the finisher is getting the addition of a level. So this is actually, 5 damage and 7 speed. I was actually sort of confused here because of the minimum range. He only has range 1 to 2. But Moon Knight was making a call that his opponent was going to do before a start of beat movement. And we'll see how this turns out. And in fact, Moon Knight actually makes the perfect call here, calling the advancing. The problem is that Linne actually plays advancing strike. And so even though Moon Knight made the perfect call here and will hit Linne for 6, that strike is giving the enough stun guard to Linne that he's able to actually trade back. Hikaru is able to take damage and trade it right back and win this game. So this was a fantastic game. I was super impressed by Moon Knight's ability to stay alive at 3 life for as long as he did. But as it turns out, that early lead that Linne got was just too much. And she was able to take game 1 of this match. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye.